Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dunleading Warcry. My name is Scott. Today I'm doing the long-awaited Where the Heck Have the Tournament Results Been video. It's going to cover a number of games. I think this one in total is going to be 13 games over the last few weeks, talking about my results at an Ohio event called the Long Expected Brawl, uh, AdeptiCon, and then a event I was at this past weekend, Keep It Secret in the spring, along with looking at the next four events because I've got a lot of them that I'm going to that are coming up soon. Um, Now, I just wanted to burn through all the hobbying stuff up front. That way, I could just get into the meat and potatoes of the events. Because everyone knows I'm a hobbyist now. I'm pretty washed up in when it comes to tournament play. Um, just starting off, I know I had shown some pictures of my board that I was working on a few months ago. I have finally finished it. This picture doesn't really do it justice because there's still a lot of glue drying and all that, and I went back in and added some more flock, but in general, I got the materials that I needed to do it, and I just went to town. The glue dries much nicer than what it looks like on here. It dries very clear, and it was cheap, which is a good thing. I ran out of PVA when I did the first attempt at doing it before I realized I did not have enough flock. But I think it turned out pretty okay. I have some notes on stuff to do better the next one because I'm going to start probably in June or so. I'm going to be doing a lot of terrain and I want to make some boards. I'm really ready to go with that. That's going to be my next big project after I finish getting all my models based and painted because I'm going to be going on a bender in May. Um, in terms of models, I did a ton of bases. Um, I think I mentioned I had cut a bunch while I was getting my oil changed a few weeks ago. I got that done uh, while I was there, and then I put some my sand on there to prep them for priming. Um, then at Adepticon, uh, I picked up some of the new StarCraft stuff. So this was me starting to work on the proto set, and I also bought a couple sets of zealots. I'm looking to. I still haven't read the rules for the game, but from what I've heard, it's pretty fun. But I really like the theme, and I like the story of it all. So there's Artanis and a couple, uh, whatever they're called. See, I don't even know. I primed them. A few more bases I had to prime, and then I did a bunch of zealots. So I got them all primed. I'm planning on painting them Tal'Darim themed. So that's the black and red guys, silver and red kind of deal. Darker variants. I'm waiting for Alarak to come out. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's just my favorite part of it. Just like I like Isengard when it comes to Lord of the Rings, Tal'Darim for StarCraft. That's my jam. So I'm I will express a little bit of frustration with building these. You can see there's a lot of translucent parts. Um, with some of these models, you can't do anything but put them together. So like there's translucent parts built in to regular parts, and it is very difficult to keep it apart, prime it all, and put it together without ruining it all the same as if you just put it together, primed it, and learned how to paint translucent effects. So I'm doing the latter. I'm going to use this as an experiment to actually get myself to learn some new methods to paint. So they're all done. I had primed them all. I don't think I have another picture after that, but I did work on some bases. Same kind of style that I was doing, except I built them up a little bit more. Having the bigger bases allowed me to really do some practice with stuff. I used some multiple materials, sand, and a little bit of battlefield snow from Army Painter, um, and they came out pretty good. I did go through and mud them all, same way I did my other bases. Um, but for these, I got some more of that pro acryl that I used on the board. I used on this too. So I think it came out with a nice color. Very good baseline to do some effects. I want to do like lava running through these channels, kind of be kind of light coming up from the bottom is the type of thing I'm going for. I'm hoping it teaches me some good stuff. And then the last couple kind of things, I'm finally going through all my fighting Urukai. You can see those two bags of bases; those are all done. So I'm getting them all rebased onto those as we speak. I just gluing a few at a time using the long pike sticks to hold everybody up. Um, and then just the last thing I had done last weekend was doing a couple Dunleading Horsemen for the event that I was at. I have a few more that I'm doing because I'm running four on this upcoming one that I'll show my list for later. So I have a few of those to do, some dismounts, and then also Gorolf I'm going to be painting because I'm running him for the next couple weeks. So that's it on the hobbying. Going into the events, so a long expected Brawl was the Ohio event I went to a few weeks ago. I did do a list review for it. Um, it was 3 rounds, random pool, and then we removed a scenario randomly and then vetoed off the rest. It was a little bit of an interesting system. I will say I wasn't quite the fan of it. I think it inherently randomly benefits one army a little more than the other, because they could just lose their worst scenario or lose their best scenario, and what's remaining already starts skewed. So I don't personally love it. Um, Quickly just looking at the results, I did not have my best day, unfortunately. Um, I'll show my games in a moment, but I did end up doing pretty poorly. I did lose the first 2 games, both of them by 1 point apiece, which is a very frustrating position to be in. And then the last one, I'll say my bows did something for a change. So in total, there were 14 people that played. Um, I ended down in 9th, less than ideal. But hopping over to look at some pictures of the games. So the first board, I told them I didn't love it after. Um, this is a big river. This is a dominating presence river. I'm here over on the left with my 750 points usurpers. Um, and then on the other side, I'm playing against Harad, Betrayer, a Taskmaster, a Captain, and the Golden King. So there's not a tremendous amount to say for this game. Just to quickly give the rundown, um, we basically ran up, not a tremendous amount happened, and then the game ended. So I believe he had the first turn of movement, or I did. I don't really recall. It wasn't super important. But on the first turn, we both marched. I ran up to here. He unfortunately made a little bit of a mistake with where he had his Taskmaster and his Captain. So he actually had a whole lot of his army that he didn't want together. And they ended up kind of going here, and then also some shuffled in here, and around the tent. So there were not, or I don't remember if he was back by the tent, but uh, oh yeah, it wasn't the tent, but he had some up here as well. So basically, the way we played this river, we agreed these big panels over here, we played water is water, it's shallow, and then the rocks are free. We played the solid blocks of crossing as just flat crossing. It didn't matter if you were in the water or not, because we were like, this is just going to be insane if we're trying to account for this water as we play. He did send some guys over this way. He didn't really have anything in the middle. I also had done some maneuvering in the middle to launch Thorn and Co-op, and then my birds actually jumped on this objective to hold it as soon as they could. So they were kind of hanging around with this tower. You can see one there. There's another one floating back there. I think I had 3. Um, then when it came to the second turn, we had a move off in this area. He did actually pull the objective, winning the move off. So he was up on the line kind of like that. I engaged him. Thorn actually did a nice maneuver where the captain marched the second turn. Thorn grabs the objective there while I set up a post up front. And then the Krebine are just kind of still floating around here as he moves over. Through all this, he's popping some shots and all that stuff. Third turn, we just keep duking it out. We really just duked out on this side the whole time. I did a lateral move with the Red Chieftain's second might and actually launched Freka and a bunch of guys over here, while he was still kind of moving up. The birds were holding the objective and then pounced over here to start a line as Freka and Co moved up. The center, nothing really happened besides Thorn grabbing the objective. He just ran. He's trying to hide, stay away from the Betrayer's casting, who is going to try and get him to drop the objective. That leads us into the fourth turn. So I grabbed the object with Freka, and I actually had a major brain fart. Instead of crossing over here, I put him over here and just kind of gave away a point, which was unfortunate. Um, Thorn on the last turn went behind here, but I had misjudged his height and didn't have enough movement to lie down. So after I had moved, the Betrayer on a march ran really far up this way. saw Thorn and actually had him drop the object. So I did make an error that resulted in him dropping that one, and then Freka being behind the line, and then also some archers over here managed to shoot, and they got a wound on Freka, which took it. So I could have, if I had played optimally, gotten another 2 points and then not had given up one. But the wound on Freka and dropping the object with Thorn was what resulted in this swing. It was not my greatest game. We had a little bit of a slower game. Not much died. We did only play into the fourth turn. We had started a few minutes before time was called. But we just kind of went with what mattered and just wrapped it up and went to lunch. A little frustrating not to have had enough happen in the game. Harad definitely is an army that benefits from a few less turns and just looking for those good shots, taking in the ways, taking shots with poison where it matters. Freka, he did have clear shots because, again, I did not position him properly at the end. But it wasn't a great start for my day. Moving on to game two, I was hoping that it would be a little better. I was playing against Gundabad, 2 trolls, so each type, and a brute, and a warband with 12 mercs in domination. So it's definitely a scenario that's a little to my advantage, just because I do have numbers. I did have the ability to deploy pretty far back and just kind of wait. Unfortunately, it didn't do enough. So basically, Bolg, who's over here, ran over here and basically fought here for the remainder of the game. He did lose one duel and took some wounds, but did not die. One of the trolls, the club one, ran over around to here and then kind of did a loop around the rocks as things kind of walked around and got away and ended up over here. The scythe one came over here. I had inadvertently blocked him from being able to do anything. It's one of those cases of these scenarios being not walkable is pretty dumb. I didn't intend it. I just naturally I wanted to deploy between the pillars. So he is kind of just blocked. So he ended up doing a move where he ran behind over here and then fought kind of over here for the rest of the game. And then lastly, the brute just kind of beelined it this way. I did keep him basically stuck the whole game on the other side of this pillar. I was constantly having him surrounded. I had Freka go in a few times to get me fight 5. It didn't matter. This troll was cracked. I just could not get anything through on it. I couldn't win duels. I couldn't wound him. He was feel no paining stuff. I think he feel no pain about 9 out of 15 opportunities this game. It was pretty crazy. The orcs all died. I'd sent some guys around the side. And then the goblins ended up arriving around this pillar to defend these 2 objectives. They did defend this one. I did pull this one, but not by enough. And then lastly, last turn was kind of called at a bad time. I had a flaming brand. This guy, he was kind of there the whole time. He was just outside this objective. So I ended up losing on that objective, losing the middle objective, and then also losing this one. I just did not get enough to pull the win. Again, losing by 1 point. Last turn determinations. I could have contested this point, but I found out after I had already moved that we were done after that. So it was a little rough. I did kill enough to break him, I think. I don't actually recall. No, I think I came just shy. So unfortunately, came behind in this one as well. So that put me really, really low down. Just for a nice casual end of the day. I had no podium in sight, nothing in sight. So the last game I was playing against Lothlorien in Clash by Moonlight, which is pretty heavily to my advantage with the number of bows I had. My opponent set up in a line. I set up in a line. This warband kind of looped around. I used some marching stuff to get them here. This group ran straight ahead. Some peeled off this way. The rest peeled off for there and there. His elves over here came up and posted up to shoot, while Rumil and Orphan came around this way and formed a block around the objective. It was some pretty heavy fighting. I actually shot Haldir off the board with some nut shooting. My bows did a lot at nighttime here. and then also getting some wounds on. I think I got a wound on Orphan early, so he was in a pretty precarious spot. With if he loses a duel, he dies. I used a lot of throwing spears to try and clear him out. Over time, though, eventually I did break the elves. Enough of them died over here. I didn't get Galadriel, who was staying safe in the back, but Haldir died, and then Orphan and Rumil did maintain rolling sixes basically the whole game, and just kind of camped out there as my guys started surrounding this whole area. I took the middle pretty heavily, broke him, and I had banners. I did kill his banner, I believe. So it got me the point swing that way. So ultimately, as we saw, I did come down in ninth, or I guess I was tied for ninth, so it could have been 10th. We had the exact same score. Wow. Um, it was still a fun event. It was good to meet some new guys, some of the people that I had spoken to that I hadn't met in person before. So it was very enjoyable. I'm hoping they have some more events that I can go down to in the near future. Um, then moving on to the big one, which was Adepticon. So Adepticon was a fun time, but I did not finish off very well. Um, I'm doing less editing for this video because there are so many rounds that I played. You might have noticed I didn't really edit any videos in, any lists in. All the links are going to be down below. You can go check them out. I'll generally be talking about what my opponents have, just not in super specific details, because most of these are pretty clear-cut lists. There wasn't anything crazy I faced that you'd like really needed to see it to believe it. Um, Adepticon, I was out there for Masters to help judge for that, which was a great success. It was a very smooth event. The gang of judges that were there were good, with being available for people. I was jumping in, not too many crazy questions that I had to answer. We kind of jumped on a lot beforehand with a special submission forum for the players, to kind of alleviate on the day stress, and it worked out pretty well. We had some nice video recordings of some of the games, as good as you can get in a convention hall and all that, but they are posted on the North American YouTube channel. We have one round from each of the Masters rounds, and then also each of the GT rounds. Hopefully I'm in the Masters next year. I think I'm in a good position, potentially, to get it via an event or a league. Hoping to make it in so I can play at the highest. In terms of the GT, just to quickly go through my rounds and then I'll go through the games. I started off against Wesley playing Reclamation of Osgiliath, but we ended up rolling Stake a Claim, which is a tremendous scenario for my advantage. I got to the scenario of the objectives early. I gunned it as fast as I possibly could, and I just held on. We ended up breaking each other in the end. Freka was at risk and almost died. We'll see, but I ended up holding out pretty solidly on the points. Next against Tedwardius, playing Battle of Fornost and Clash by Moonlight. This was I do think this was my funnest game. This was a lot of fun. He was a great opponent. I always like to surprise people with my ability to move my 68 models very, very fast, which he picked up on. I move fast. It was a great time. I made some mistakes. I think he also made a couple mistakes, but I think he played better than me in this game. I got a lucky break in the last turn of the game that we'll get to that swung it to me. This was not my hardest game, but I think it was maybe my roughest game in terms of my play. After that, I moved on to facing Andrew Stewart with the Shire, command the battlefield. It was, I think, an early positioning play that won me it overall. We'll see. That put me on to playing against William from Hobby Hobbits, who was staying in an Airbnb with me and a few other friends. So we had friendly fire, unfortunately. He was playing double Cave Drake Moria, which was a sketchy one to be playing in Pool 2 against, but I managed to pull it out in the end. I think I just played very patiently, and it was to my advantage. I'll talk more about it again in a little bit. So that put me, I was in second place going into day 2, but unfortunately it kind of hard stopped there. So I played against Richard Lynn from Into the West in Game 5. We had another a rematch. We've been playing at the last few big events that I've been at. We faced off, actually, all the recent ones we played this time. My last big event that I'd been at was Clash and the Coast in 24. We were playing for the win there. And then we also had played at AdeptiCon 24 earlier on in the day, I think round 2. So we've been playing at all the big ones. We always match up. I unfortunately did not win that one, and then it led me into a pretty rough match against Durin Khazad-dûm in Divide and Conquer, where it was just a very similar game that just did not go my way at any point really. Um, Jumping into what the games look like board wise. So to start, this was me against Reclamation. I started pretty heavily blocked up. I had a chief on the side here, and then I also had a chief here. So I had two kind of march lines going. These guys ran up. These guys, I don't actually know that I marched with this group on the first. I don't remember. But these guys ran up. He ran up. He ran up. Some of his rangers kind of stuck around the middle, looking to shoot. I do think that he played a little too patient with them, which allowed me to get the jump on it. But I had I won the first, or no, he won the first and gave it to me, so I did move first. But then the second, I think I took the second just as a positioning play. I ended up getting a pretty solid line across here, and then these guys set up. I had basically a V like this. Uh, it was pretty nasty how I had set up. Oh no, I didn't have this one. But I had a V. I came through the doorway with a bunch and around the side, and I set up to fight Madril's guys. And then from there we just beat the crap out of each other. Um, he cleaned up the middle pretty handily, though in the end I snuck a guy in off some shielding plays to contest it and equal it out. Um, Over here, similarly, we beat the crap out of each other. And then I think I had the advantage in the end, just barely. I did manage to equal this one out in the end, and then this one I had by advantage. But I had a pretty sizable lead. I did triple him on objective points. Um, I held the lead pretty handily throughout the whole game. He just couldn't quite catch up. We did play a number of matches, turns too. I think we played 6 or 7. I did write it down somewhere, but I don't know where those notes went. But I held on for this one. Um, we had a nice duel between Freka and Thorn and Freka and Boromir right there, but Boromir did finally whiff a duel. But I did not get any wounds through. We both broke each other, and then it was just me having the objective control. So going into game 2, this is not game 2. Oh, the pictures are out of order. Here we go. This is game 2. So I deployed a massive block in. This is the second turn. I deployed in a massive block. I didn't love the way that the gaps were. This was the only real gap for my army. This was a tiny gap I had to filter through. He had a nice solid area to come through here. Basically, I ran forward. He ran forward. These guys kind of came around the flank over this side. These guys started spreading out along this path. He ran forward here, and then also sent some guys on an inverted kind of curve like that. But his army got a little bit too spread out. So I'm an army that I'm going to call move every turn. He did have Kurdan kind of hanging around the middle, providing Aura of Dismay on things. He did get an Aura of Dismay cast eventually. I'll say this, his Kurdan did not roll very well this game. He did get a couple key call wins that I think mattered, but overall he failed a lot of tests. We duked it out. I eventually crushed this group over here and started peeling around. Over here, everybody died. Eriner went on a tear. I actually lost a chief, making a mistake on not calling a move at one point. For some reason, I had lost priority and just didn't call it. So he died. I was losing. I lost some heroes. Over here, my banner kind of got pushed away a couple times. And eventually, I'm like, okay, I need to keep him safe. But I ran him too far. And I could not stand fast for him. He ran away. So I had a banner swing. Now, the saving grace, the last turn, Glorfindel's he was hanging around here the whole game. He had the movement. He charged. However, there was a gap here. So I managed to surround him with a lot of guys. And he did not roll a 6 on 4 dice, a banner, and Lord of the West. He did not roll a 6. I rolled a 6. I killed Asphalloth, and I killed Glorfindel. And it took it from me being a point behind to a point ahead on hero kills. I had held the middle. I believe we both broke each other. Well, I definitely broke. I'm pretty sure I broke him. It didn't matter on his end, but the hero kills swung me the game in the end. It wasn't my cleanest game. It was a lot of fun. We had a real fun time. We beating each other over the head with everything. It was a great opponent. But that little swing with Glorfindel is what got me that win. But it was pretty nerve-wracking. That could have ended my whole run basically because I mean maybe I would have submarined into podium, but I didn't want to play that way. That's not how I roll. I'm going for the win. So I pulled that. That put me in against or quickly lunch break. This was the display board at the end. So I did my promise. I put every hobo on the table. Everyone was painted. These are all my painted hobos. There are a couple broken ones that didn't make it out, but I tried to do them pretty evenly. The front group was my army for the day, and then all the hobos in the back. It was a lot of fun putting this out on the table. And then you could see Saruman kind of hiding in there. The door's not big enough to see him. It was a lot of fun to put all these out, and then afterwards I just took them all and just chucked them in boxes because I'm like I'm not putting these back nicely. Then going into round 3. So this was against the Shire in Maelstrom. He got rid of Heirloom. I didn't really talk about bans previously, but they were all pretty clear cut. He got rid of Heirloom, another clear cut one, just because if I get the objective, he's never catching me. I got rid of, I want to say I got rid of Sights of Power, just because I didn't want the chance that his bows do crazy work. Just hitting a little better than mine, it could be a problem. So we rolled off between command and hold. We ended up on command the battlefield. Still okay for me. I think hold was better. I think hold actually was my best over heirlooms even. I don't like heirlooms. But the deployment wasn't great for me. I deployed with Freka and 2 warbands over here, and they faced towards the end with the bows, just in case he rolled bad. I was going to put someone right in front of me. Thorn arrived on his own over here, and then I had one chief that did not arrive the first turn, but arrived the second turn on top of Maggot and Bilbo over here. Down over here, the rest of his army came in. So Gandalf and a bunch of guys managed to jump on Thorn, but Thorn and his buddies they held on. I think I did the right positioning plays to kind of not get overwhelmed with Fight 5 Sheriffs. I just kind of held on, a lot of shielding, a lot of just waiting for my army to run across the table. In the end, I cleared off all of these guys. It's just kind of Bilbo ran away. He didn't use them to fight, he just ran. I had this corner uncontested. On this side, he sent some guys up the side, but it was a little too late, and I held them right on the line to avoid having this contested, so I had this one. This side, I was never contesting. He had that by double. I was never gonna, but I contested. I sent a couple of these guys up and then over. And then for these guys, I actually had this corner in the end. I killed enough, and I sent Freka over, which was all the difference in the world with his dominant. I ended up pulling this corner just by 1 model. So it was a lighter victory, but it was solid. We were both pretty close to breaking. We actually, my opponent was really good with his movement. He was way better than me with his rules because I don't know the hobbits very well. And some of it sounded outlandish. I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he showed me, and I'm like, "Oh my god, these are some nuts rules." But he was good. He was a good player for Shire. He knew how to move his models. It was no like toying around and all that stuff. We played a lot of turns. I think we played 7 turns, which is pretty crazy. You wouldn't expect that. But we got through a real game, which was nice, and it was still close in the end, I think. That put me against the Drakes for game 4, and I told Will, I love you, buddy, but I'm gonna play like a dick. Um, this is the worst pool that I could. This might be my hardest possible army pool matchup, just in general, let alone scenario. The Drakes are disgusting for me to deal with. They just rip me to pieces. If they just roll well, I lose. So we end up in assassination. That's the most even. I have to ban contest. I take this in Lords. He got rid of to the death because I have banner points. Um, I started really far back. I'm not going anywhere near the middle. I need to get some nice shooting. That's what I really have to do. He deployed on the line. He kept a contingent of goblins over here. He had thought he kept enough back not to break, but we'll learn later that that was not the case. He had just too many in the middle. He ran forward. I did get shooting. I got one wound on this one, and lo and behold, this was my target. I figured it's going to be one of them. I might as well pick the one that's going to come straight through the middle. He could have done like an alternate play where he jumps them side to side, but I was always going to shoot the guy in the middle. I think in the end, I would have gotten a wound either way on any of them. Um, Throughout all this, I kept shuffling around and all that stuff. Like I started shuffling guys down this way, some guys around the bend. He sent some his beasts over here along with some prowlers. So we actually had a pretty big brawl over here where I came out on top. I just had a ton of might. I ran away with all my might. There were no heroes here in the end. They all ran around the edge. He looked for a hurl, and he did get a wound on the chief that was his target, which I think was Orange, who actually fell off his base at one point. They were just kind of skirting the end, looking to break away over here. In the end, they did break away, and the three chiefs were just kind of hanging here at the end. Uh, I had sent some guys to track down his captain just as a scare tactic. We knew he wasn't the thing, and he knew it too. But he kind of hang around there, and then Groblog and Co were just hanging over here. Um, Freka and Thorn, after fighting here, actually circled around the building. So they had fresh might, and they came around this way. The Drakes were fighting in this area the whole time. I actually ended up killing one of them. I killed I killed the target one. The other one, was it the target one? I don't remember the ordering. I'm pretty sure I killed the target one. I had to have. I killed the target. The other one I think survived in the end with one wound. Um, I got around and then I started trapping. I actually used challenge from Thorn on Durbers, and I got the kill that way after losing the first duel. But I wiped out enough goblins to break him. I am pretty sure I broke. I don't recall. Um, but I got my assassination target down, and it got me the win. I told him like this is not the style that I like to play. I just this was the hurdle for me to potentially win the event. I needed to get over this pool. It left pools 4 and 5 back on the left on the table. They were the only ones left after dealing with this. I'm like I'm gonna have to play that way if I want this event. So I ended up taking it 15-5. It was a good end to the first day, 4-0. Second place, that's a really solid spot with what was left. And then it all kind of came crashing down. So, oh, this was another picture from the game. This is where we kind of can see me starting to circle. And then my line of guys here, you can see these are the Chiefs on the end. They started marching down the edge of the table. Um, there were just too many guys over here and here that I managed to kill. And then circling around got me the leader and killed the rest of them. All right, so game 5, I have a lot of pictures. So this was me fighting Richard. This was going to be player to player my hardest game. I knew it. The board had been shifted a little bit by players throughout the day, so we actually sat down and we pulled over Josh and we're like, can we fix this board, make it even? We didn't even know what scenario we were playing yet. We're just like, can we make this like a reasonable thing? And he's just, I'll leave it to you two. So we made the board even. Some of these buildings were in some really wacky places. So right off the bat with deployment, I believe I started, and I of course keep one warband back. I'm not going to advertise too much. He deploys Aragorn up on the line. I did talk to them. I don't like Aragorn being deployed first. I think Gwahir knows what he's about anyway, and this is not a matchup that he ever gets my objective unless I throw the game. So I think the informational play would have been better. This gave me a lot of insight onto how he was going to do it. Then came down a couple more warbands, so I deployed Freka and I think another chief somewhere in there. Yep, yellow chief. While he gets Guahir, this is him starting to do Legolas, so he ended up deploying in a line like that. I finished up deploying. I had a nice big wide line, which is how to play this scenario. He deployed some of Legolas's guys back in an attempt to kind of screen and then look for the objective. This was his deployment. This was another shot of there. And I think this was from the side. All right, so I gotta make sure I get the pictures, the best pictures for this. This is probably the best one to use for this, maybe the next turn. No, this was a better one. Okay, so this was the second turn of movement. So essentially what happened is I won the first heroic, it's the first priority. So I had him go first. He marches, he moves up, he's got a line here. You can see all my guys that were over here. I did a march with the blue chief. This is the end of the second movement, and he ran up this way and then brought these guys, and these guys came with me, and then I had a few guys here. This was the second turn. They started peeling off to the side. I brought these guys as well. My Krebine were over the top on the other side already, starting to fight some things. They came in after he won the move off on this turn to start charging and getting Guahir on the side. He had all of his guys on a bird here, which I was fine. He wanted a heroic combat. I let it have it. I just didn't want him to spread. I wanted to keep some gaps open. And he sent those guys back that way. This turn, so Guahir and Aragorn called a heroic combat. I sent Thorn up this way because I saw an opportunity to split his line down the middle here, which I did succeed in, even though we'll see Thorn died after this. He called those. I called a heroic combat with the yellow chief here. He did try and call for Frodo at that point, but for Frodo has to be before heroics. It's the start of phase ability, which is before heroics. There are some rules that also specify before heroics, but there's no difference. The ordering of turns, it is before heroics by default. He would have to say after heroics to get around that. So he couldn't for Frodo this turn after he committed to those. I think I won the roll off from my recollection. It didn't really matter. I was just looking to embed yellow a little bit further in and get some kills. This is a matchup. He has 34 models. I just need kills. Guahir got a couple kills, went in two guys, got a couple more. Aragorn killed some guys, couldn't really get far. And then, or no, Aragorn didn't heroic combat. I don't remember what he did here. He might have just stood still and just swung. I don't have a perfect recollection of Aragorn's minute actions there beyond move-offs, because it didn't matter. Legolas, they killed that bird. They started spreading out some guys, like around, sent some guys back that way. He did accidentally catch some with the heroic move, so he had to, or with the march the previous turn, so he had to figure out where to send them. He should have moved them first. These guys kept moving up along this way as the game progressed. This third turn, I lost priority. I lost a move off. Guahir then gets to jump over this way and kill Thorn after these guys clear out, which I'm fine with because it did still split with Guahir's body. It split this area. So I started killing these guys. I got a bunch of kills there. I did get a bunch of kills there, but he just kept pressuring me. At the end of the third turn, my guys are up here right in front of these. The fourth turn, I ended up losing priority. I lose the move off. Guahir had on the third turn jumped back this way after killing Thorn off a heroic combat. So he got out of there. And my guys just kept getting hammered home. I lose the fourth turn. I lose the move off. I do end up engaging over here. Legolas had started running through these woods. The fifth turn, I lose the priority. He continues to hammer home as he wins the move off in the center again. These guys are just kind of stuck fighting. I did not manage to clear everyone. The sixth turn was the real kicker. I lost the priority. And at that point, I have no might over here. Freka's kind of hanging out here. He dies. And then over here, my guys all just teeter out. I just don't get to move. He has Guahir over here. He has Legolas over here on that 6th turn. I do end up engaging Legolas over here with 3 guys. He whiffs his shooting, rolls a 5 and mites to a 6 to win the duel. Again, I'm 1 turn from getting this objective. I was in this position the whole time with enough models to get that objective. All I need to do is pick it up. If I pick it up, it changes the whole course of the game. I couldn't get it. And throughout all that, I just lost too many move offs. My guys started running. I failed a lot of courage tests over here. It didn't really matter. This part was over. Uh, he might. I don't think he had enough to get to my objective still on the 7th turn. We didn't end. We ended on the 1st turn it could have, which was the 6th. Um, I just couldn't move. I was stuck. Um, Dice were dice. I mean, I'm playing in a scenario in an army that I can lose every duel and I can still come out on top with positioning plays. But if I just simply don't get to move, which was just the case, I did not feel at any point that I could do anything, but just lost heroic moves. I didn't get to pick fights. I didn't get to get traps. I did come 1 shy of breaking him, which is I think that says a lot considering that I didn't get to make any choices. My guys just didn't get anywhere. Stalled out after just not moving for a few turns, unfortunately. Um, I do feel like it kind of was irrelevant what armies we were playing. Men of the West is a strong army, but I feel like basically any army could have done this to me if I just lose everything. And we'll see that kind of happened in the next game, though at that point I had already made mistakes, but I was also kind of just in a screw it mode. Um, I ended up losing 8-0 just between Freka dying, 3 heroes, and break. It got him 8 points. I couldn't recover to do anything with how many lost. If Legolas had whiffed that duel, it was a point. If I pick up the objective, it's a point, or it's 6 points. But I could not have come back also on top of that once Freka died. It was just I didn't get to move. He was stuck for 3 turns straight as he tried to heroic combat and failed. Um, he had 2 other guys. He failed. He lost the 50-50 tie. There were a lot of tie losses I felt in this game, um, but I can come back from that if I get to move. I just don't. So that dropped me down pretty far. Put me against Khazad Doom in the last game. We played Divide and Conquer, which to me is a really strong scenario for me. Unfortunately, a little bit of a similar thing happened here. I did make some positioning mistakes. But again, I was just like, this. I can't win the event. I couldn't even podium if I 20-0'd in this one. Unfortunately, I was too far behind because I had 1 minor win from Fornos that even if I majored here, the other guys that came second and third, um, I will mess with them. That they submarined to holy hell because they lost their first game I think with minor losses and then just curb stomped everybody for the remaining 5. So it just swept them so high on the standings. Um, my guys here, I split up a group. Some went this way. This house was horrible for me. Split up, went there. Some went there. These guys all peeled up this way. His Rangers came through this way off a double march, and then Durin and Co. came this way with some of the Hearthguard going there. And then I just proceeded to lose so many duels. I had a line here. I did not basically get to move. I lost the first move off. I did win the second one, but then I lost the third. He had his Rangers just set up here in like a gun line. And my guys, I'm like, okay, I don't really need to get this center objective early. I'll trade some shots. It's whatever. He was taking some shots I didn't really feel were the most efficient for him to take, like in the ways on captains that had no might. But it didn't kill them. Um, the like 6 Khazad guard that went this way killed like 15 models. I had Freck and a bunch of dudes. They just all died. Freka lived, but couldn't get anywhere. The Khazad guard over here kind of moved here. Durin shot for the middle. Some went this way, and then a bunch went this way, and then I just like lost duels left and right. Um, his Rangers eventually engaged me over here with the rest of them, and then these guys over here didn't move for the whole game. They just sat there and died. I never got to move past those trees at any point. I killed nothing with shooting from my recollection. I did get a Krebine through that destroyed this. I did even get all 3 Krebine in the center on uh, the captain and a herald. Unfortunately, they killed nothing. I think I got a wound through on the herald, but then he faded it. Um, I just kind of teetered out, just couldn't do anything. It was stalled out dice. This one I felt worse than the previous one in terms of general dice. Like I lost I think 4 priorities in a row, and by the time that I won a priority in the end, it was already over. I think that turn I won priority and then everyone ran. Um, I was a little disappointed with how this ended after the first day. It is what it is. It has started a villain arc, I'll say that. Uh, that I'm back on playing White Hand because I'm really sick of losing every priority, so at least I can win one now. Um, but I ended up going 4-2. I was in 25th place, I think. Kind of sour end to it. I mean, I'm happy I was in the position I was after day one. Um, I cleaned some armies that I think a lot of people would have had trouble with in general. I don't think I played against weak armies. I think I played against some of the strongest I possibly could have. I do think that those wins were my decision making, even with my messy game too. Um, my second day, just I don't feel tracked with any part of how my army played. It kind of felt like I could have been playing anything, and it would have been the same. The agency got stripped completely from me. So now I'm on a villain arc and playing White Hand again. Um, Jumping over to the event that I had last weekend. Um, Keep it secret of the spring. So I did a video reviewing the lists um, on Thursday, and it was a fun event. So we only ended up having 15 show up. So Andrew, the TO, had to play. We had a new player that had joined but never submitted a list. Um, in terms of the games, first round I ended up playing against Kyle, who had beaten me with his last alliance back last month. He was playing Army of Karn Doom, double hill troll with captains. I think it was a solid combo. We had talked a little after it. I did kind of feel if he had one less hill troll, he could have gotten some Karn Doom captains and some Warg Riders, and I think it would have been slightly better. But he wanted to run double troll, and honestly, I think double troll is still pretty damn cool. Um, he was mostly running with what he had. Um, the game setup, domination. So we had some pretty even objective placements. Grim ended up playing in the middle with one of the captains, just to try and maximize my lightning and all that. I deployed in a defensive position with my bows. Turn one, I do win, or he gives me priority. Grim actually runs this way, and I lightning over here. I got a pretty average lightning. I actually think my lightnings were average today. But I did get the good kills in that I killed the banner, I killed a couple guys, I got a wound on Aldrich who had to spend a might to fade it. Nothing on the hill troll, but it was a spicy lightning in terms of the banner kill, especially the 6-inch Karn Doom banner. I think matters a lot. And then early on, I did get a couple kills on that first turn of shooting. We engaged on the second turn after he won priority and ran forward, and then my guys just went to town. I rolled pretty damn crazy on wounding. I think the duels were pretty even. I think he actually won a fair few from charging. Um, but my guys just killed. Um, I ended up quartering him after 3 turns of combat, and I had only lost a few. My guys really went crazy. Um, I will say this was a fun game to kind of stretch my White Hand legs again. I haven't played it since February, and even then, I wasn't really playing it at my best. I think this past Saturday was me playing pretty well. The sneakiest play that I got after he had set up, we'd kind of fought along this line. He had moved the last turn and tied up the Krebine who were here, who were looking to shoot to this objective, and he only tied it up with one. Saruman saw that it was going to happen and actually channeled and flame bursted an orc in order for that Krebine to go run over to the objective and take that. Um, and then he couldn't quite get there to contest it. So I managed to push through over here. The Oathmaker actually failed at combat at one point, losing a roll off against a charging orc for fight value. I did have some crazy dice against the Hill Trolls. They did not perform well. And my guys, one duo won the duel against a transfixed one, and then did 2 wounds with 6s, and then the second turn did it again. Or the was the second and third turn of combat. Yeah, it was disgusting. They took out one of the trolls. They just kept going to town. I ended up having this one by double. I had this one by double. I had this one uncontested. I had the middle uncontested. He had this one uncontested. So it was a pretty solid win for me. I was killing guys. Our game was really fast. It was just like a 40-minute game. We just beat the crap out of each other. And my guys, they did roll just slightly better. It's always the thing with white hand is if you roll slightly better against me, I might lose, probably lose. But if I roll slightly better against you, it can get crushing really fast. The next game put me against my teammate Jonathan. Our team is Grima's Greasy Gang. We got a group of us. He was playing Minas Morgul, and this was lead from the front. So not ideal for me. He has a lot of play that he can make. Um, I went super ballsy, and Grima's over there. He's hiding behind this rock. I went really ballsy with my play. He won the first roll. He gave me priority. He made a mistake, and we talked about it after. Because this is a game that's also I need to win an event. I really needed 90 points for the league. So I'm like, there's certain things I can't point out super obvious to you. And this was one of them where he let me go, and then Grima just walked this way, and then I lightninged over here. He knew about the change, but he didn't consider that Grima could just walk away. So I did do that. I did kill his banner, which was massive. I killed his banner. I killed a specter. I killed a few orcs. And then I did a wound on the Witch King and a wound on the Fell Beast. Though that didn't really matter. My guys ran up. I played a pretty cautious game. We kind of set up along this line. He pushed up this way. Grima kind of trailed around behind, avoiding the Witch King. The Witch King went this way. And eventually, I mean, he played for a staff break on Saruman. I let it happen. I think that's one thing a lot of Saruman players might not know is when's the time that you let it happen. I was at 6 will and 3 might still. I let it happen. I channeled that turn for a Sorcerer's Blast, but he resisted it with 5 dice. So I let the staff break happen. I wasn't going to fight that early. I think it was okay with 2 might still remaining and my other superpowers. I think it was okay. We fought off. I won a lot of priorities. I did. I didn't have positioning to move off with him, so he ended up getting some good fights along here, but I slowly killed. He did make a really aggressive decision over here to heroic combat with a captain in range of Grima, but that pushed him outside the range of the objective for the rest of the game. So I stole this one with Grima. The last turn in the game, we had some heroic combat offs to kind of play for these 2 objectives. The Witch King shot himself over to this one, but as a result, Saruman, who had been fighting a guy, ended up walking to the middle and taking that one. So I traded off. He did get more points for it because he got 4 on the end. I couldn't really contest it well, but I got 2 in the middle, and then I got 4 uncontested from Grima. So this was a pretty solid victory. I think I was going to quarter him, but we had the game end. These were dice down games, so the game ended while we were pretty decent way through that combat phase, so it wasn't that far off, but it was a pretty solid win again. Next, that put me up against Jan running. I can't say Jan's last name. I can't pronounce it. Playing Minas Morgul in Contest of Champions. We can ignore that objective marker. It was just there for marking. I rolled well on my arrival rolls. Everyone got to deploy up front. I did put Grima in disguise again. He had one of his warbands deploy back, but I don't think it was that big a deal. Because he had a drummer, so. But first turn of the game, I do win the move off. I had positioned Red Chief so that he was exactly 6 from Saruman, so I could keep him in the move. So I had these guys. So the Red Chief kind of walked around there, and then I just collapsed on him. Saruman tossed out a channeled blast on the Witch King. He resisted it, but it cost him 2 might. He rolled a 5. He was the -1. He had to might it up twice. My guys just started going to town. I sent a Krebine over to the Witch King to engage him over here, fearless near the Oathmaker. Um, then we fought. The Witch King Morgul bladed that Krebine, which was the right call. Um, we talked after. He should have had someone blocking that because that was my backup if the blast didn't work. But he also he called a move there with that guy. I think is why I responded. I think I won priority. Um, but I moved up. Yeah, I had one priority. I moved up there. He had drum to bring those guys up. Um, I killed one guy with the Oathmaker. I kept it even. The goal was to keep it even until the end, where I can jump ahead, and I did that. My guys went to town. I was obliterating orcs. My guys slowly and surely pushed through. I sent some guys. We had a little bit of a fight over here with his orc captain coming up and then around. But he died the last turn to Saruman and the Oathmaker heroic combating to kill and jump the Oathmaker up to 4 kills total. The Witch King got blasted on the second turn and just kind of ate dirt the rest of the game. He was stuck here. I kept transfixing him every turn. He just never got to move. He never got to really make a single strike until the end of the game, or for the rest of the game. So he got stuck on 1 kill. Um, so I ended up 4-1 on kills. This ended up being, I think it was an 18-3, but it gets bumped to 19-4 because of the secret objective component of this one. In none of my games did anyone actually steal it from each other, but it was a solid win. This was my first time playing contest in an event with White Hand. I think I played it one previous game in general, so I wasn't 100%, but it worked out well. Grima was just such a dick sitting over there like that. He was always in a position to block people and cost extra might. He sapped 2 might the last turn from an orc captain, but I uh, I won the roll off. So I won 2 out of 2 roll offs, and I generally had priority control the whole time. And the one time I didn't, or the times I didn't, I just heroic moved. But that put me into playing for the win. So last I was playing as Chris Cook. Came over from New York, fellow American. He was playing Celebrant, and we were playing Treasure Hoard. Um, so he deployed pretty tight, but Grima was not in the best spot for lightning, so he was a little safe. He won the first priority and opted to go first. He started spread it out over there. He did do a march that cost him double even, but it got his guys up this way. He got this objective on the first turn. He started spreading out some guys. I marched as well, which got me up here. The Oathmaker got this one, and I had some guys get up this way. The mobile contingent went over here. Um, then follow-up turn, he managed to get this one. He managed to get this one. I did not get this one. I failed the first attempt. I failed the first attempt over here. But Saruman started peeling over this way. Then the third turn, Saruman did a fun play. So he had gone first. I compelled the guy that had picked up this object to drop it. And then, or it was somewhere, he was like over here. I had enough range to do that and then get back to the objective, and Saruman dug this up. The third turn, I failed to dig this up, um, which was pretty sketchy. He moved up. We ended up having some fights along here, 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 and here. Just some minor skirmishes. There wasn't going to be any full-scale engagement. And then we didn't have a lot of time. This round really snuck up on us. We knew that there was only a few minutes left going into the fourth round. So I'm like, oh crap. Like that's part of I kind of had an eye for the clock, which is why I compelled the drop there. I Palantired on the fourth turn, and we didn't get through much. The fourth turn, uh, the Oathmaker dug this object up. It would have been really, really bad if he failed. But I still would have slightly had it, just because he did that. He didn't have any might to heroic to get that pick back up in time. Saruman was chilling over here, and then while I had a Krebine that was here that was going to fly over to join Grima on the end, although I didn't, I guess I needed 3 anyway, so I wasn't getting there. They actually called dice down. So in the end, he had these 2. I had my 3, and I had force drop that one, and I had Grima in the backfield to take the win. Um, so I had done the drop just because I wasn't confident I was picking this up. I got lucky on the third try that I picked it up. Um, and then one other funny little tidbit was Saruman compelled Aoral to run into the woods. And then the next turn I Gale Winded, so he had to spend another turn basically getting out of the woods. And then he went on a bender and he ran all the way up here. Or he ran all the way up here, killed on a heroic, and then ran over here and hit some birds. But then the game ended. So we didn't have a lot of time to do things. This one really snuck up on us. We only played 3 rounds and one partial round. Um, I was hoping for a little more of engagement. I wanted to see if I could take on these Suns, um, but unfortunately, just not enough happened. But I pulled ahead from the Magic and Grima, just being on the back end. Though again, I had an opportunity for a bird anyway. Um, so with that, I actually went 4-0, and I did win this event. So the final standings, I was the only undefeated person, followed by Shadows Agmar and Riders Aimer. So it was nice to win one for a change. No more washed up Scott, having not won anything since January. Um, this was a 90-point event for Ontario, so I am pretty certain that this actually puts me in the lead for their league. I was a few points behind the lead in second place going into this month. I do believe that I have taken the lead now, so now I just have to hold it. Um, looking ahead at some upcoming events that I'm going to, I'm taking a nice long drive over to Barrie in Ontario. It's a very long drive. I think it's about 4.5, 5 hours ish. It's a pretty sizable drive, but I'm heading over with a bunch of the guys in a carpool. So it's 600 points. Um, looking at my list at what I'm taking, I'm having some fun. So I'm doing non-Saruman White Hand. I've got the Oathmaker, Gorolf, and a Chief, and then I'm bringing 3 Feral Urkai and an Isengard Troll. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. I have a few more horsemen to paint for this and Gorolf, but this is gonna be fun. I'm not looking to. This is an 80-point event for the league, so it's not really anything that gets me any value out of winning. So I'm just going for some fun and to meet some guys. I bet 1 or 2 of them, I think, or I mean, there are a bunch that are going that I just know in general. Like I know Kyle, of course, and then I'm driving over with Jonathan and Justin Bryant, and then I met Twisted Badger at an event last month. Um, so I'm gonna meet a whole bunch that I haven't before. Then the following week, I'm also going to Canada. We have the Fool of a Took. It's a 100-point event, so this is a big one. 4-round event. They were gonna do veto for the system, but they actually changed the thing just because our timeline is a lot tighter than we thought. So we're doing pre-selected, and it's contest, treasure hoard, divide and conquer, and then a random from pool 6. So I'm doing a little bit of peacocking, and I've submitted my list and made it public already. I'm playing White Hand. I'm playing a little more elite than typical, just because I'm considering the dice down in the scenarios. I've got Saruman, Gorolf, the Oathmaker, and a Chief, and then Gorolf's in particular. I have 2 Ferals, some Uriks. I have no banner. There's no banner points in 3 of the 4 scenarios. The 4th might on a 50-50, whether there are banner points. And if it happens to be uh, Clash by Moonlight, I think I have the bow play that I don't care. And if it happens to be lead from the front, I think I have the magic play that I don't care. So I have the play to make that not matter. So I'm playing without a banner. I think I'm okay with it. I think I have all the support pieces in place. Um, after that, I'm still considering it, but I might head over for this one. This is over in Rochester, New York. I have to take a drive through Canada to get there. They're playing. It's a New York 100-point event. 650 points, 4 rounds. I'll drive over for a 4-round event, so I don't really go over for 3 rounds. It's too far. But I'm considering this one on the 16th of May. I'm not sure what I'm going to take if I do go, but it's a pretty nice set of they've cut a scenario for each one and doing the new veto on top of that. So I'll see what I feel like doing. And then the last upcoming event is the 30th next month is the King's Colors, which is it's a Michigan event. They're doing some custom banner rules basically, where you get a super banner and you could try and steal your opponents, and you get extra VPs if you steal it and all that. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. But that's it for now. Thanks guys for sticking through all those reports of what happened in my games. Hopefully, my next big one might be Nova in terms of major conventions. Hopefully, I perform a little better there. I am on my White Hand Villain arc, so if it maintains itself for the next few months, I'll be bringing that. Um, but we'll know soon enough. For now, thank you all for watching, and I will see you later.